In 1910, after Japan's formal annexation of Korea, many Koreans were forcibly brought to Japan to fill the labor shortage. They were paid very less and were seen as slaves for Japanese elites. According to Japan's national census of 1920, Japan had over 40,000 Koreans. In 1930, they were increased to 420,000, and in 1940, there were approximately 1.2 million Koreans living in Japan. After the end of World War II, Japan controlled from Korea was removed, but many Koreans residing in Japan opted to remain there in Japan, which proved to be the worst decision. These Koreans were never accepted as part of Japanese society, and they were kept stateless. In 1951, it was estimated that 63% of such Koreans were born in Japan, and 42% of them could not speak Korean. But for Japan, these people were never considered Japanese. They had no rights. They had not documented to travel outside the country. They were not able to apply for government jobs, and they were considered third-rate people. These Korean people are known as zainichi. The word zainichi means residing in Japan. Among the third generation of zainichi Koreans, Masayoshi's son was born. He was stateless in Japan. He had no document to travel until in 1990, when he was formally naturalized in Japan as he became rich and honorable enough for Japanese society. In 1981, Masayoshi's son started his business and he had only 2 part-time employees. He said to them, "You guys have to listen to me because I am the president of this company. In 5 years, I'm going to have $75 million in sales. In 5 years, I will be supplying 1,000 dealer outlets and will be #1 in PC software distribution." That was the spirit which Masayoshi's son had at the time he was stateless, and he had only 2 part-time employees. He is known to make big bets. He invested $20 million on Jack Ma's AliBaba when no one was willing to invest in it. Today, AliBaba is a $240 billion company, and at its peak, Masayoshi's son's stake was worth over $150 billion. Despite being a billionaire, Masayoshi's son also has the dubious honor of officially being the world's biggest loser, because he alone has lost more money than anyone else in history. In 2000, Son briefly became the richest person in the world before losing $70 billion when the dot-com bubble burst. Despite this, the Korean-Japanese financier, investor, tech entrepreneur, and philanthropist have a net worth of around $21.6 billion. He founded SoftBank Group, which according to Forbes is the 36th largest public company in the world. The group's notable investments are TikTok founder ByteDance, Yahoo, WeWork, AliBaba, Revolut, Didi, Grab, Uber, Flipkart, Lenskart, Oyo, FTX, Paytm, Policy Bazaar, and thousands of more companies. Want to know how a stateless man like Masayoshi's son, after losing billions of dollars, is still running one of the biggest businesses in the world? Watch the full video. We at Business Chronicles tell the stories of extraordinarily successful people. Please subscribe to our channel to help us in making more videos. Son was born on 11th August 1957 in Tosu, Saga, Japan. He is a third-generation zainichi, which means an ethnic Korean with permanent citizenship or residency. Just like many other struggling immigrants at the time, his father skirted the law by building his family a house on land owned by Japan National Railways. He also ran an illegal sake business, which did so well that the sons became the first family in town to own a car. They eventually relocated to a different neighborhood so that Masayoshi could receive a better education. The young son was interested in business and managed to secure a meeting with Den Fujita, the president of McDonald's in Japan. Following his advice, he began studying computer science and English, then left for California at the age of 16. He took the exams required to finish high school in 3 weeks, then moved on to the University of California, Berkeley. At 19, a magazine article about a microchip convinced him that the next revolution in commerce would be kickstarted by computer technology. Not wasting any time, Son enlisted the help of some professors and built an electronic translator. Sharp Corporation bought this invention off him for $1.7 million. He earned a further $1.5 million with another venture, which involved buying second-hand video game machines on credit from Japan and importing them, then installing them in restaurants and dormitories. Son earned his economics degree in 1980, then started a company called Unison in Oakland, California, which was subsequently purchased by Kyocera. Returning to Japan, Sun decided to stop using his adopted Japanese surname Yasumoto in favor of his Korean one, and in doing so became a role model for ethnic Korean children throughout Japan. Sun is the founder, chairman, and CEO of the Japanese holding company SoftBank. He is also CEO of SoftBank Mobile and chairman of the UK's Arm Holdings. He founded SoftBank in 1981 and since then has invested in hundreds of businesses. Curiously, most of Sun's investments have resulted in failure, but the jewel in his investment crown more than makes up for his losses. In 2000, he invested $20 million in AliBaba Group, and today that stake is worth $57 billion. In June 2020, Sun resigned from the AliBaba board. By October 2021, Sun had become Japan's second richest man and the world's 68th wealthiest person. On its list of the world's most powerful people, Forbes magazine placed him at the number 45 spot. Before his AliBaba investment, Sun already had his eye on internet companies, investing in Yahoo in 1995. SoftBank's stake in Yahoo is now only 7%, but he also founded Yahoo Broadband in September 2001, and he still owns a controlling interest in Yahoo Japan. After SoftBank's equity was severely devalued, Sun had to concentrate on Yahoo, BB, and BB Phone. SoftBank has amassed something like $1.3 billion in debt so far, but Yahoo BB's purchase of Japan Telecom has elevated it to the position of Japan's third-largest broadband provider. SoftBank declared its interest in buying Arm Holdings for £23.4 billion in July 2016, which would make it the largest ever acquisition of a European technology company. The deal was completed in the following September, and the actual price realized was £24 billion. In 2020, US chipmaker NVIDIA agreed to buy Arm Holdings from SoftBank Group in a stock and cash deal that would have been worth close to $40 billion. SoftBank believed that the merged companies would become prime movers in the artificial intelligence market, but the deal eventually fell through due to regulatory scrutiny. SoftBank purchased a 76% share in Sprint, the US telecommunications provider, during the 2010s. It has since added to its stake so that it now owns around 84% of the company. Following the 2011 Fukushima nuclear disaster, Sun was critical of the nuclear industry, and he began investing in a solar power network as a safer alternative for the country. He also decided to invest in a Saudi Arabian solar project in 2018. At 200 gigawatts, it would be among the biggest ever and is being developed under the country's Vision 2030 strategy. Sun also indicated that he would be underwriting most of 100 gigawatts of a 275 gigawatts renewable energy project in India by 2027. SoftBank Group established an investment vehicle called Vision Fund in 2017. Worth $100 billion, it was set up to fuel investments in emerging technologies such as the Internet of Things, robotics, and artificial intelligence (AI). Its goal by 2019 was to increase its portfolio of AI companies from 70 to 125. But it was also investing in businesses whose ostensible focus was to revolutionize retail, transportation, and real estate. Sun stated that he would be making personal connections with all of the CEOs of the companies Vision Fund was backing to form synergies between them. He planned to raise $100 billion of new funding every few years, with half of that going to startups. The second Vision Fund, set up in 2019, aimed to raise $108 billion, with $38 billion coming from SoftBank itself. But this was scaled back due to a lack of outside investment partners. By 2020, the first fund had invested in Coupang, Didi, DoorDash, Fanatics, Grab, Oyo, Paytm, Uber, and WeWork, among others. But the COVID-19 pandemic and the Chinese drive to crack down on monopolies had exposed the weaknesses in the conglomerate's portfolio. Sun was either smart or lucky, possibly both, to have plowed $20 million into Alibaba in 2000 when it was still a fledgling company. But it's a pity for him that he didn't have the foresight to do the same with other bright startups at the time, Tesla and Amazon. But the meteoric rise of Alibaba and the prolific and potential investment vehicle of the $100 billion SoftBank Vision Fund for backing technology startups in 2017 brought Son worldwide attention as a stock investor to watch. However, by 2021, he was still finding it hard to convince investors that they could trust his judgment, partly because of the losses and fiascos involving companies like WeWork, OneWeb, Wirecard, Oyo Rooms, Katera 58, and Greensill Capital. SoftBank Group was also dogged by the fact that its stock was trading chronically far below its asset values due to tax liabilities, risk levels, losses, performance fees, previous performance, and fears of further troubles. Son did himself no favors while running the Vision Fund, and his propensity for enthusiastically pouring huge sums of money into loss-making businesses at startling valuations also gave investors cold feet. By October 2021, Masayoshi Son had picked up the pace of his startup investments. In less than 9 months, he increased the number of companies in his Vision Fund 2 portfolio by 400%, despite having fewer staff. But the average amount he was putting into each company had dropped from $943 million in the first Vision Fund to $192 million. With the value of its stock portfolio plummeting in 2002, SoftBank's Vision Fund achieved a record loss of 3.5 trillion yen, equal to $27.4 billion. The problem seems to be that SoftBank has suffered from consistently bad timing and a tendency to impulsively invest in overhyped and overvalued startups such as Klarna, each one a bubble waiting to burst. While other funds profited from greater caution, SoftBank suffered. While they were both at college in the United States, Son met and married Masami Ono, the daughter of a notable Japanese doctor. They have 2 daughters and live in Tokyo in a $50 million mansion. Their home has its own $3 million golf range in the basement that can simulate the conditions of real golf courses, a demonstration of which caused Bill Gates to say simply, "Wow." Son also has a California home near Silicon Valley worth $117 million and owns the SoftBank Hawks, a professional baseball team in Japan. Taizo, his younger brother, is also very successful. He is the founder of Gung Ho Online Entertainment and the venture capital firm Mistletoe. Son has pledged to give 10 billion yen equal to $120 million and his salary until the day he retires. The money benefits victims of the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami. Masayoshi Son came from a very poor background. He came from a family which was not accepted by Japanese society. But he made a name in society where manufacturing was the way to make money. But instead, to follow traditional route, he opted for the tech industry. He wanted to achieve big. He, from day one, was clear that it's all or nothing, so he invested very aggressively. In the process, he lost billions of dollars, but at the end, he became one of the richest people in Japan. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to watch more videos like this.